Hello, book lovers and lovers of science and scientific inquiry. I am highly recommending this new, thoroughly updated 2009 edition of Dr. Rupert Sheldrake's book, Morphic Resonance, The Nature of Formative Causation. I'm calling this book The Charge of the Enlightened Brigade. Cannons to the right of him, cannons to the left of him. Volley and thunder. We have religious fundamentalists on one side, decrying the fact that he doesn't attribute this creative intelligence to some deity. And then we have the opposition on the other side, firing at him for refusing to accept their theory of absolute material reductionism. Sheldrake's most vociferous and aggressive opposition comes from the ranks of his fellow biologists and scientists. The conventional scientific community, the secular scientific community, builds its case upon its presumption that the entire universe is mindless, that everything which happens in the universe is random, and that every intricacy, every complexity, and every form of life is the end result of a series of random accidental events, mindless events. The author is not saying that conventional evolutionary science eliminates intelligence from the process of evolution altogether. Intelligence is not credited with any impact on the evolutionary process until living creatures themselves are able to select their mates. That's the point at which conventional science credits any kind of subjective intelligence with having an impact on the process of evolution. Dr. Sheldrake artfully dissects this theory. He already has a dead body to work with, because the mechanistic universe is presumed to be lifeless, mindless. He takes this concept, lays it on the lab table, and pulls it apart. Like an amazing combination of a brilliant trial attorney and an expert witness, Dr. Sheldrake presents his case, a combination of brilliantly correlated circumstantial evidence and hard evidence provided by rigorous experimentation. He weaves these facts together and presents a compelling case. You and I, his readers, are his judge and his jury. But unlike some of his rather caustic professional opposition, Dr. Sheldrake is a gentleman. He lays out his case eloquently, methodically, and with an occasional dose of playful humor. Here's a reading from his chapter entitled The Unsolved Problems of Biology, under the subheading Minds. The mechanistic theory postulates that all the phenomena of life, including human behavior, can in principle be explained in terms of physics. It is a form of materialism or physicalism, the theory that only material or physical things exist. They are the only reality. Materialism is opposed to the more common sense view that minds affect bodies and are capable of interacting with them. Materialism runs into logical problems from the outset. Attempting to explain mental activity in terms of physical science is circular, because science itself depends on mental activity. This problem became apparent within modern physics in connection with the role of the observer in processes of physical measurement. The principles of physics cannot even be formulated without referring, though in some versions only implicitly, to the impressions and thus to the minds of the observers. Since physics presupposes the minds of observers, these minds cannot be explained in terms of physics. According to the author, it's been quite a surprise to the scientific community how few actual genes there are and how similar, if not identical, the groups of genes that they call homeobox genes are from species to species. For instance, someone has perpetrated, and that's the word I like to use, the rather Frankensteinian experiment where the homeobox gene, which controls the development of the human eye, has been removed from a developing human embryo and placed in a fruit fly embryo for the development of an eye. And fascinatingly, the human homeobox gene developed into a compound fruit fly eye. So how could this take place? How could a human homeobox gene for the development of a human eye develop into a fruit fly compound eye within a fruit fly embryo? There must be another source of instruction, another repository of information. This is like a recipe where all of the ingredients are, am I boring you? Where all the ingredients are listed, but the instructions for mixing and preparing the ingredients seem to be missing. Where are those instructions? Well, Dr. Sheldrake makes a very compelling and intriguing case for what he calls a morphogenetic field, which would be considered metaphysical by the materialist reductionist scientific community, because it would not exist in the physical world, at least not as we identify it. But it exists as a field, much like a magnetic field. We can't see it, but we know that it exists because we witness its properties, we witness its effects. The same with the gravitational field. We know that the gravitational field exists because of the effects of gravity. And this is the same sort of case that Dr. Sheldrake makes for the morphogenetic field. There must be some kind of repository, functional location of the information which an embryo utilizes in order to make sense of the genetic material, in order to follow the recipe. The information concerning the morphogenetic field and how it functions is extremely detailed, extremely intricate, and I can't begin to try to paraphrase this. It's something that you as a reader will simply have to undertake on your own behalf. And believe me, it's a fascinating read. It's an intricately laid out picture of an absolutely rational theory accounting for the way we develop, the way we evolve, the way our embryos develop, and every other living thing on this planet, and possibly in the cosmos. Do read this book.